Experts believe the number of people on the brink of starvation has doubled to 270 million worldwide during this COVID-19 crisis.
And that has made the work of the world's largest humanitarian organization, the UN World Food Program, all the more crucial. In fact, the program's efforts were recently recognized with the 2020 Nobel Peace Prize. Let's bring in now to discuss all of this Executive Director of the UN World Food Program and former Governor of South Carolina, David Beasley. Governor, thank you for being with us. And we just heard that term, and I've seen it in a lot of places, brink of starvation. Put in terms our viewers can understand here what we're talking about when we say that about people around the world.
Well, it's sad because before COVID, there were 135 million people marching to the brink of starvation, meaning they didn't know where their next meal was coming from. They're living hand to mouth. They're on the brink of starvation. They're not getting the food they need. But because of COVID, that number has spiked to 270 million people. And if we don't reach the people that we need to reach, you will have mass starvation, destabilization of nations, and mass migration. So we've got to get on top of this immediately. And it's going to require a lot of work, a lot of effort, and a lot of money.
And you know what, Governor Beasley, I'm going to quote you here because this is a very powerful quote you said. You said, "We've got a vaccine against starvation. It's called food." So if that's the case, why then do we see the enormous problem, pervasive problem, getting worse and worse in this world if we have the vaccine?
Well, you know, what's really heartbreaking is the fact that there's $400 trillion worth of wealth in the world today, and that we have people, children, literally starving to death. We've already had 9 million people starve to death already in the year 2020, 2021. That number could be double or triple. And when you look over the past few months and the billionaires that have made literally trillions of dollars, we shouldn't have a single person on earth, much less a little boy and a little girl, starving to death. And we've got the cure for starvation. We've got the vaccine. It's called food. We just need the money and the access. If we can get the money, we can avert famine all over the world in 2021. We were able to do it in 2020 because the world stepped up, heeded our call that we were facing this catastrophe. But now COVID has had this extra ripple effect and is truly wreaking havoc around the world. And so we're going to need an extra $7 to $8 billion for what we normally need. But just to avert famine, Amy, we're going to need $5 billion just to avert famine. But if we don't get that money, you will have mass starvation and destabilization and mass migration. And that'll cost 100 to 1,000 times more, not even to get into the misery, the suffering, and the deaths.
Governor Beasley, you talk about needing the money so you can get the vaccine, food out there, but we're in a pandemic. How does that change how your organization goes about its work now?
Well, in a lot of ways, as you can imagine, when the pandemic was at full force, airline industry shut down around the world. And so we're the delivery of food and emergency operations, saving lives around the world. And this is why the Nobel Peace Prize says, thank you, World Food Program, because you're saving lives. You understand the relationship between peace and stability and food security. But when the airline industry shut down, we then had to pick up all the humanitarian support, logistics, humanitarian backbone for COVID supplies, PPE, testing equipment, everything. And so we're now working with different agencies on the vaccine distribution.
Governor, you have called on the world's billionaires to give you a solution to this. You've asked them to donate to fund your program. How confident are you that any of them, or at least some of them, will step up?
You know, Amy, TJ, the billionaires, we're not asking them to step up every year. That's a whole different discussion on long-term strategy. But on the short term, because the governments around the world are stretched thin because of 2020 and the expectation, the needs of 2021. And so we're asking the billionaires that have made so much money during this COVID crisis, please step up. We need just $5 billion, just $5 billion. And they've made trillions during COVID. Please, if you do that, it will just be an extraordinary message and a delivery of love and hope to people who need help right now around the world.
Well, a very important call to action that we hope is heard around the world. Governor David Beasley, we certainly appreciate it. UN World Food Program Executive Director, we appreciate all your efforts and your time to join us here on the show.
Thank you, Amy. Thank you, TJ. I really appreciate this.
His passion really comes through, doesn't it?
Well, hey there, GMA fans. Robin Roberts here. Thanks for checking out our YouTube channel. Lots of great stuff here. So go on, click the subscribe button right over here to get more of awesome videos and content from GMA every day, anytime. We thank you for watching, and we'll see you in the morning on GMA.